Hey, what's up, you guys? It's Bloody Jacob here to bring you my weekly review of Game of Thrones. This week's episode was Season 5, Episode 2, The House of Black and White. And, yeah, pretty decent episode, a decent follow-up to the premiere we got last week, of course, with the wars to come. And no, I haven't watched the leaked episodes. I'm just gonna, take it as it goes and, just sort of go at the order at the pace that they put out for us. I'm not really going to try and get ahead because even if I do watch the leaked episodes, I could watch episodes 3 and 4 right now. If I watch those, I'll have to wait a few more weeks just to see episode 5, so it puts me at a disadvantage. And even when I do see those episodes ahead of time, I can't, watch them and review them. I can either watch them and wait a while to review them so I can safely put them out on YouTube, or nothing, pretty much. So yeah, I'm just gonna watch them week by week as we're supposed to. But yeah, like I said, a decent follow-up to the premiere episode. I will say I did probably enjoy the premiere a little bit more, but that could just be because we hadn't seen a new episode of Game of Thrones for so long, so it felt a little bit more fresh. I was a little bit more excited initially and stuff like that. But this week's episode, nonetheless, was still pretty decent, I'd say. It wasn't like anything great, but I haven't heard any spoilers about the episodes ahead, but I did hear that the first few are sort of, slow and stuff like that, which isn't necessarily a bad thing because I do appreciate the slower, character moments and stuff like that too. And nonetheless, besides it being a little bit slow this week, we did get some good development. If you guys don't see a thumbnail for this, of course it's Arya arriving in Pentos. And, she's seeking the assassin, who we've seen back in Season 3, I believe. And, she had that coin, with his mark on it and stuff like that. And she arrives at the House of Black and White. And, this old man sort of answers the door and says there's no one of that name here. And so Arya just sort of, gives up and, sort of, tosses it into the water. And then we see her decapitating a bird later on to test her skills, which is pretty interesting. And we also seen, a few hoodlums, we'll call them, that were probably just going to try to rob her and most likely do whatever else that you can imagine. But of course, Arya, we know she can take care of herself, with her sword and needle and stuff like that. So I wasn't worried about her in this situation, but that same old man shows up later and they get sort of scared off by him. And then Arya is brought back to the House of Black and White. And then we find out that, yes, it is the same assassin she came to Pentos for. So, he, sort of, removes his face, and then, of course, it's the same guy we recognized originally and stuff like that, back when we first seen him and stuff. So, of course, he can change his face and stuff like that, and Arya asks him who he is then if he's not, the name she was given. And, he says he's no one, and soon she will be too. Because I'm sure she's going to get trained in the way he is, and she'll eventually become some sort of assassin, which will be pretty interesting to see. I'm excited to see where her character journey leads and to see her really develop. And yeah, Arya is probably my favorite female character on the show, other than Cersei. Her and Cersei are probably my favorite females on the show, I'd say. So it's good to see this development, and with Cersei, we just get her, getting frustrated over not being able to find Tyrion and stuff like that. Of course, she was brought ahead of a midget, but, of course, it's not Tyrion's. And then we also, see that Jaime is actually going to go find Marcella, which is Cersei's daughter that Tyrion shipped away to Dorne, a few seasons ago. And she would most likely come to no harm there, but that was before Oberyn was killed. Now that Oberyn was killed, back at the end of Season 4, by that fight for with the mountain and stuff like that, yeah, she basically has all enemies looking at her in Dorne. So Cersei, sees the great risk with all that, and Jaime decides to go to Dorne himself, and not by himself. Cersei says he's just a man with one hand now. And yeah, Cersei's not very grateful for anything, really. But nonetheless, Jaime goes and finds, Tyrion's old friend and stuff like that. Not now. Sorry about that, guys. But anyway, that's what happens when you live with parents and stuff like that. I apologize. Anyway, and so Jaime is going to bring him to Dorne, and they're going to go and most likely find Cersei's daughter and try and bring her back. I think that's their idea anyway, but we'll see how that goes. It was kind of a cool scene, seeing Jaime show up and sort of like talk to him and stuff like that. So I thought that was good. And we see, that same time, he also like sort of settled, and he was gonna get married to this woman and stuff like that. And Jaime promised him like something greater if he were to come with him. So we'll see how that all works out. And let's see, we seen one scene with Tyrion, I believe, this week. And him and Varys are still traveling, towards Daenerys. They're still quite a ways away. But, you get a couple of good conversations with them. Tyrion, definitely is living up to his word of, drinking in the box until they get there. And, let's see what else. Yeah, of course, Brienne and Podrick actually crossed over with Sansa Stark and, Peter Baelish in this episode as well. They just happened to, sort of like cross over in the same little brothel or pub, I don't know. But, and Brienne, of course, pledged to Catelyn that, she would find her children and protect them and stuff like that. But, of course, Arya refused her protection, and, she ran off, and we know where Arya is at this point. And Sansa sort of refuses as well, and, Baelish sort of, runs Brienne down, telling her that you tried to protect this, you've tried to protect him, and you've tried to protect Catelyn, and you failed. And then pretty much out of frustration, Brienne leaves, but she she kills a few of Baelish's guards and stuff like that. And then they chase after her and Podrick, and luckily Brienne is able to fend them off and stuff like that. And apparently Brienne's still gonna try and follow Sansa. And yeah, I don't know how well that's gonna work out for them. Well, I'm not really sure where this is gonna lead, but we'll see. And let's see, we also actually got a scene in Dorne, by the way. We've seen Oberyn's brother, he's ruling, and we've seen Oberyn's, ex, partner, I forget if she was his girlfriend or wife, I forget exactly. But, the one, he would, like, swing around with and stuff like that. And the one that, seen him, be, just completely slaughtered by the mountain and stuff like that. But, and she expresses that they need to do something about, his brother being killed and stuff like that. And she says the Sand Snakes, his children will, want to avenge him, and they will do it, whether, Oberyn's brother, calls for it or not, because he doesn't want to turn into an active war and things like that. So yeah, there's definitely some things, ready to erupt. And what else is going on? Oh, yeah, of course. How could I forget? My other favorite part of the episode is probably at the wall, with Jon Snow dealing with Stannis. And, he basically, lives up to his actions of, giving Mance Rayder mercy last week. And, Stannis actually seems to respect, bravery. And so he sort of, like, lets it go this time, I think. We'll see. But, and the most exciting part of this whole area in this episode was the fact that Jon Snow is actually voted Lord Commander of the Night's Watch, over the previous and stuff like that. I really liked Sam's speech, for Jon Snow, basically, praising all his courage in battle, and how when the other was injured, Jon Snow is actually the one that stepped up and, sort of saved them. And Jon Snow actually they were tied, but then, of course, that final vote was put down, and Jon Snow is now Lord Commander of the Night's Watch, apparently, as far as I know. And that's a really good development for the character, I think. I'm sure we'll see him and Stannis start to butt heads more as the season goes on. And, yeah, it's pretty good stuff. And also we've seen, Daenerys, still struggling with ruling on her own and stuff like that. And, we see them having to decide whether or not to execute the one who took revenge upon the, the perpetrator, part of the masked men, that were killing some of the Unsullied that we see in the premiere and stuff like that. And, Daenerys was convinced that, they needed to execute him and sort of, make a statement, but she was talked out of it, and they were going to give him a fair trial. But nonetheless, he was killed anyway, so I had to decide what to do about the guy that killed him. And so, and she ended up ordering him to be killed in front of all the people, and that sort of left a silence, and it sort of left the two sides very divided and sort of clashing with each other. But we got a good payoff at the end, with that dragon, that dragon of Daenerys's that, she said could have, flown halfway across the world at this point. Drogo, he actually showed up. No. I forget the dragon's name, okay? I apologize. But, you see the dragon show up, it's sitting on top, and then, Daenerys and him have a brief, touching moment. Daenerys is slowly putting out her hand to him before it flies off. So yeah, I'm still anticipating that shot we sort of see in the trailer of Tyrion looking overhead and seeing that dragon flying. I hope that's an actual scene. So I think it's going to be that particular dragon that Tyrion sees. So I hope that happens within a couple episodes anyway. And yeah, I still think Tyrion's definitely going to help Daenerys when he does arrive. I think it will help with more of the, handling the people and stuff like that. So that's going to be good to see. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about this episode. I don't think I missed anything too major. And if I did, feel free to comment. Would love to discuss it with you. Would love to discuss any part of the episode with you. And yeah, overall a pretty decent episode. Not great or anything, but a solid follow-up to the premiere nonetheless, I think. So yeah, I'll catch you guys next time for next week's episode review, of course. And also, Penny Dreadful released the first episode of Season 2 on YouTube. So if you guys want to watch that, definitely check it out. And I was going to watch it tonight, but I sort of lost track of time. Sort of wasted a bunch of my own time, basically. But I will be watching the first episode of Penny Dreadful Season 2 tomorrow, and expect a review of that to be up. So yeah, check out Penny Dreadful's YouTube channel to watch the first episode of the Season 2 premiere. And yeah, I'll catch you guys next time for whatever else I do, and peace.